Alright, gotta zoom out. Don't know what year. 30 or a 1066 Farmall International Turbo. The only thing we had to do with this was pull the starter out, have it rebuilt. The solenoid was no longer functioning properly. It's two 6-volt batteries in series to make 12 volts. Put the can of ether on here, popped right off, and this is the only one out of the 3 pieces of equipment that actually fired up after putting the starter in. And this one's got interesting steering because you can move the steering in either direction really, but once you start it up, the steering works fine. Let's see. Smidge ether. Smidge ether. That's that. She's running, and now the steering works. So it's a hydrostatic type of steering, or something or other. Purrs like a kitten. A little smoke, but not too bad. Don't know what that ticking is per se, but I know. I'm thinking it's injection pump, but fires right up. Probably should fire up because it's pretty warm in here. It's got to be at least 75 in here at the moment. And of course we've been having chilly nights yet, 50 degrees or so, 40 degrees. So understandable that it needs a little bit of help, especially since it doesn't get run often at all. But you can see there's no haze coming out of this thing. It runs really clean. And yeah, sounds good. Shut it off by doing that. Okay, so keys off. Yeah, fires right up for the most part. Now this next one. Okay, got everything snugged up, tightened up, got the cover on, gasket, new cork gasket. Got everything's tightened down. Linkage is on, ejector lines are tightened down. I did not swap ether cans, so hopefully this thing has enough battery juice here. Throttle, we want, not off, but we want low. Clutch, dead as a doornail, or dead as a doornail. Perfect. That's what we like. We got the batteries cooking on this thing here because they are deader than a doornail, and it is bugging me. But we've heard this one fire up. And we're going to climb up in the 4420. This one required an injection pump as well. They've been sitting for quite some time, and that's probably less than 10 years, but more than 3 or 4 years, I'd say. So we had the pumps rebuilt. This one I have a leak from the lines. They gave us what looked like plastic washers I did not torque them to spec, but I snugged them until the point where you're like, oh, anymore, and you just aren't sure about turning it another little bit, you know. So I'll have to bring my torque wrench, and it's 23 foot-pounds per thing, so we'll have to do that. But he's got newer batteries for it. I just fired this one up because Dad was out here, but this one's the same way. It's like a hydraulic steering, or hydrostatic steering. But so I just had this one fired up, but it fired up just like it's gonna right now. So you're not missing anything by having already started it. Got an electronic fuel pump, or a lift pump, I should say. Probably got a little bit of air in the lines. This one hazes a little bit. I don't like, but what can you do about it in reality? Got the throttle right here. This one hazes, and the guy he had rebuild the pump, or at least the place he dropped it off at, had mentioned that you know, usually if the injection pumps go bad, then it's quite possible the injectors could be having some corrosion issues and whatnot, because this is a lift pump system. The fuel tank is way down there, has to lift the fuel all the way up here. So if everything drained back, which I don't know if it did or not, but yeah, get a little bit of a leak. I'll show you those washers. He picked up some new ones from John Deere themselves, and they're exactly the same. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, right? And maybe they're metal. Quite possibly they're metal, but they look like they're plastic. They just aren't the same as the copper washers I had taken off of there previously when we removed the pump. But that one fired right up, so that's good. I guess we can see if this thing's got some more chooch in its pencil yet or not. I'm trying to step over the charging box. Oh, the door's gonna slam. The key's already on. Give her some ether, she'll crank. Well, almost, but not really. I mean, we got more cranking out of it now than we did before. And any amount of cranking is good to me because, let's see, we have of course, that's the gauge that doesn't work. But, yeah, any amount of cranking is better than no cranking. What the hell is that nasty looking stuff? Yummy. But, yeah. So that's fantastic and fun, right? I don't know, I've had it on nuclear for, I don't know, 10 minutes, if that. So, but cranking will help build the pressure in the lines a bit. So a little at a time. I'll give it a good shot of ether. It's hard to do it when you're holding your phone. You want to hit the ether button and crank it at the same time. So too bad the ether and the crank button aren't right next to each other. It's a key, not a button. Surprisingly, the older one has a button for start and a button for ether. But just button for start, button, nope, that's not a button, that's a fuse. Button is right there in the middle for ether. So that's pretty nice. Yeah, everything fires up now other than this one at the moment, but get all the fascia ripped off because, you know, they said to turn the engine over by my hand with the fan, and well, I had to remove a fair bit to get at the fan. But we're doing better right now. Now the batteries are charging. I have a charger on the other side too. It's not a starting one, but it's just a charging one, so I'm hoping it's working. You can feel it buzzing, but the freaking needle busted on that, so I know, probably not the greatest idea, but these batteries are not new, and they're not warm, so that's good. I'll turn off the extra amperage and make sure the battery chargers have enough. But yeah, so this should be fun. I've been waiting on this one, and once we get it fired up and whatnot, there's not much fuel in it at all. There's only 3 gallons, something like that. I got to pull the fuel tank out. It's got a leak in there. So right at the kind of boot coming off the fill tube. This one's a gravity feed. And with that leak, it had leaked all the fuel out. And the filters were all the way down pretty much when I pulled them off. And so I'm assuming at one point in the past few years he had come out, tried to start it, fired it up, and ran it, and it was running off of whatever fuel was in the fuel filters. And this is when the fuel tank was empty. Didn't know it was empty, of course, fuel gauge, but who knows. I'm just figuring he ran it till it was out of fuel here, and she sat without fuel for how long, and things seized up. It's my guesstimate. And this one does not have a fuel leak, and the fuel tank is up top right here, so it goes right to the fuel filters. I cracked the filter, it immediately started puking out, so I was like, okay, so that's a step further. Got the batteries connected properly. We were having issues because they're 2 6-volt series, so you should have 12 volts at the starter. Well, we weren't. We only had one battery worth, and I thought maybe both batteries would share the same voltage, kind of like how in my truck, but no, those are parallel, not series. So parallel, they share the same voltage, but this isn't series. It's combining both voltages, and I believe, I could be wrong, but we had to have the starter rebuilt because the solenoid was not activating the starter. And so once we did that, cranked it over and gave her a couple shots of ether right off. So yeah, and then with this one was such a mofo to work on because the engine is up here. There is not much room to work. And with I had to pull the AC compressor off, and there's the amount of room I have between the front cover and the radiator fan. There's not much room there at all, because that little, let's see if I can get to it. Probably not. That nut right to the top right, or the bottom right of my fingertip, that nut and the one right below it is the front cover plate. And so we ended up having to pull the entire radiator out, which is behind this door, which I'm not going to open because it's a biatch to close. But the ether can is right down there. But yeah, so come back with the torque wrench because I haven't removed these banjo bolts after tightening them. So I should be able to just keep tightening them, and hopefully they're not at 23, and 23 they'll quit leaking and we'll be all good to go again. But this runs after that. This one took forever too. He actually has the manual for this one, where the 3288 he didn't. But I was able to find just a simple pump removal instruction online. And so yeah, once we got the pump in it, it didn't take hardly 5-10 seconds of cranking and she popped right off. So I gotta go to town, so I'm just gonna pop that on that and probably unplug the other one and just let that cook on that for a while, and then we'll, once I get back from town, I'll plug in the other one again. And that makes me wonder if these batteries are even, have a good enough connection to fire it up together. Because It's like it tries to start off with one battery, but with a bolt gauge it doesn't work. That doesn't help. So, because we had at 1.6 batteries hooked up to this thing at the same exact time, and you can guess jumper cables. I had a battery here, a battery on the other side, jumper cable to that, and then I brought the truck in and had jumper cables going off the truck to one of the batteries, and so a total of 6 batteries at the same time. Cranked this frickin' puppy over. That was when we were trying to start it before the injection pump rebuild. So yeah, the joys. But I'm gonna go get some lunch. It's past lunchtime, and I just want this freaking thing to fire up and be done. I really wish these stinking gauges would show you what the battery was at, and I don't have my voltmeter with me. So yeah, the joys of the joys. I'm just hoping this thing pops right off too, and we're good to go, and finally get the tractors out and get equipment out and whatever else. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll stay tuned for the cranking over this guy. Thanks for watching. God bless. Okay, so I cracked the lines at the injection pump. You can see, or I'm sorry, at the injectors, and we are getting fuel now. I've been using the ether. I've cranked it over a total of 3 times, but however many revolutions that is, I don't know. The batteries are charging up pretty quick. I suppose I could, since they are squirting pretty good. Well, I don't know if they're squirting pretty good, but they're should be getting ready to pop off here. But I should be able to tighten them all up and pretty well bottle feed itself then at that point. Let me get. Okay, we're gonna see what she does here. Lines are tightened down. She should fucking pretty well pop right off. Just like that. Nice and quiet too. Very surprised how quiet. Steam on a bit or whatever you want to call it. Get the chargers off. Gonna let it run for a while, just so the batteries can charge up. It's really quiet for a tractor, I suppose. At least to me, it's really quiet. Parts the injection pump pretty much. Put a really good muffler on it. It's hazing pretty good. That's really quiet. Of course, we don't know what kind of amperage we're getting or whatever, but refrigerant pressure light. Vents up here. shirt over my nose, I guess. It's freaking warm in here, that's why I'm... there's a lot of dust in here. Hornworks. So, it's got really tight steering. That's good. The other one's got some slop in it. Glad it's running. That's always the nice thing. Now you can pretty much have a conversation next to it, though. It's really, really, really quiet. It sounded like something was whacking, and I don't know if that's like the hydraulic pump or what. I don't know if you could hear it on camera, and I revved it up. It was, you hear like a whack, 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 whack noise. It's really weird. Boy, that tappet cover looks really wet now. Very similar to a Cummins, I'd say, in the tappet cover sense. It would be coming from up here, so maybe valve cover or something, or intake gasket. Well, that's coolant, I think. But yeah, exhaust is definitely warming up. So, just glad it fired up, but I'm not going to shut it off here for a few minutes because I need it to charge the batteries up a bit because they're dead as a doornail. There's no doubt about that. Pretty well dead as a doornail. Oh, is it warm in here though? There's a lot of blue out there. Enough to burn your eyes, that's for sure. Let's say RPM. See how low we can get it to idle. 600 RPM-ish, 550, 600. Oh, these doors are just weird. They don't stay open and they make you lean. Yeah, she's hazing. You can tell from that. frickin' thing's running. And shut her down. Drop her down. Put her back up a little bit. She should pop right off. Just like that. Like she's brand new. That brand new injection pump. That's awesome. That's awesome. So now we can start getting the body put back together. Now I'm gonna open up the other door and get some freaking breeze through here because it is bad. Okay. I don't know what's wrong with the latch. This needs to be lubed or something. Wrong with the hinge apparently. God, burning my eyes just opening the door. It is a thick in here. But well, yeah. Runs like a dream now. So, only thing I gotta do then is pull the fuel tank out and see if... I tried snugging up the clamp. That slowed it down. I mean, it's snug as you're gonna get it without stripping that clamp, but I gotta open doors. Whooey. It is bad in here. But yeah, so we finally got the tractor kind of holding absolutely everything up in here. Mobile-ish, I guess, as long as it dries, right? Means it's mobile, or as long as it runs it means it's mobile is what I was trying to say. Breeze. Oh hallelujah, it's hot in here. It's not even a hot day really, but yeah, so now that you've seen all of them run, I've seen all of them run. Thick smoke, get a nice breeze going. Heck yeah. Golden, pony boy. So, hope you guys enjoyed watching. It's been a treat, put it that way. Just glad to finally have that. Now, this isn't really the fruit of the labor so much. Not for me, at least. I mean, it is nice to know it's running. I timed everything correctly. It's been my biggest concern when we first started diving. This is the first one we started working on, and it took the longest to get the pump back. The John Deere we had back in less than a week pretty much, and this one took almost 2.5 weeks, and we dropped them off at the same place, but circumstances, whatever. Yeah, because we could have got, well, no, that one's got leaky lines yet, but I could have gotten this one out at least and maybe driven it around a bit. But now everything fires up like a dream. Another can of ether for the 1066. Didn't have to pull any panels off. So I get to put the entire fascia back on. But frick, the fact the thing fires up now, and heck yeah, and that's exciting. Well, like I was saying, payday will be the fruits of my labor. You know, it always is, right? But yeah, well, everything appears to be, well, a little bit of wet somewhere. Could have been from the, maybe towards the bottom of the pump, I don't know. Yeah, the lines are dry, and that's what I was going for. So I think, I don't know where it would be dripping. Otherwise, probably. I don't know. I'll have to have it running and keep an eye on it, but I'm just stoked that everything is going good. She's got some heat into her already, so anyway, I'm gonna get this thing put back together and let the owner know, and hallelujah. But yeah, it was been waiting to get this one going so we could get stuff out of here or moved around better. But yeah, thanks for watching.